Do not look at your screen. There is absolutely nothing to see here. Instead, I want you to close your eyes right now. Put on your headphones, adjust your volume, until my voice feels like it is sitting right inside your mind. Welcome to Real Blackout. Tonight, we officially open our very first pilot file. 3 carefully crafted nightmares born from the absolute dark when the power dies. But remember, as you sit alone in your dark room, these stories might be fiction, but your imagination and your own experiences make them real. Pay close attention to the quiet spaces between my words, because in the dark, your eyes will lie to you, but your ears, they always know when you are no longer alone. Let the darkness take over. Our first story takes us to a small, isolated cabin out in the countryside, where a young man named Arthur lived completely alone. It was late November, around 2 in the morning, when a sudden, violent storm knocked out the power grid in his entire neighborhood. His bedroom became an absolute void of pitch blackness. The darkness was so thick, so heavy, that he could not even see his own hands when holding them right in front of his face. He lay perfectly still on his back, pulling the heavy cotton blanket up to his chest, waiting for sleep to rescue him from the suffocating silence of the house. But sleep did not come. Instead, about 10 minutes into the blackout, a faint, unsettling friction broke the quiet. Shrek, shrek. It was a soft, rhythmic dragging sound coming from the very edge of his bed. It sounded exactly like his blanket was being pulled downward, inch by inch, by something rough brushing against the fabric. Arthur froze. His breathing instantly hitched. He tried to tell himself that it must be his cat playing in the dark. But then, a cold wave of realization hit his chest. He distinctly remembered that his cat had been locked downstairs in the kitchen before he came up to bed. The sound of the rustling fabric stopped. For a long, agonizing moment, there was nothing but dead silence. But then, Arthur felt the mattress near his feet slowly sink downward. Thud, a heavy weight pressed into the foam. It felt like a pair of knees, or perhaps a set of long, thin hands, putting its pressure on the bed. Something was now crawling onto his mattress. It was moving toward him, very slowly. Thud, thud. Arthur wanted to scream. He wanted to jump out of bed, but pure horror had paralyzed his muscles. He could not move a single finger. The shifting weight on the mattress crept higher and higher up his body, until it finally stopped right next to his pillow. Arthur could hear the heavy rustling of tattered, ancient cloth just inches away from his right ear. The air in the room suddenly smelled old, damp, and rotten. He forced his eyes wide open, staring into the blackness directly above his face, crying out silently for a sliver of light. And right there, in the absolute dark, Arthur felt a freezing, wet breath brush against his forehead. And then, his bedroom fell dead silent once more. Let us leave him there in the dark. For this next account, I need you to change your focus entirely. Filter out the noise of your immediate surroundings, and listen to the subtle hum of the background audio. Because in the dark, sounds can play cruel, twisted tricks on our logic. This next story is an experience of my own. Years ago, I worked as a night shift security guard at an old, abandoned factory. It was during a massive city-wide power outage that lasted for days. I was sitting inside the small concrete guard cabin near the main iron gates. The power had been dead for hours, and my only flashlight was rapidly fading. The silence across the empty factory grounds was absolute. But then, around 3 in the morning, my right ear caught a strange noise coming from the glass window pane behind my chair. Tuk, tuk, tuk. It was a sharp, deliberate tapping sound. I turned my head slowly. The tapping sounded exactly like the sharp fingernail of a person clicking against the glass. I picked up my fading flashlight, shone the weak beam through the window, but saw nothing but the empty, rainy asphalt outside. I tried to rationalize it. I told himself it was just a loose tree branch scraping the glass due to the strong wind. But as I sat back down, a cold sweat broke across my forehead. I suddenly remembered there were no trees anywhere near that window. I am about to turn off the music entirely now, so you can feel the exact, suffocating silence that surrounded me in that cabin. In that complete absence of sound, I sat completely paralyzed in my chair. I turned off my flashlight to save the remaining battery, and that is when the sound changed. It wasn't tapping on the window anymore. From the dark, open corridor on my left side, inside the cabin, the old wooden floorboards began to groan. Creak! Something was inside the small room with me. It was walking in the absolute dark, moving slowly from the left corner toward my wooden desk. I could hear the dragging of heavy, wet footsteps on the cold concrete floor. The footsteps were unhurried, confident, and predatory. They stopped right in front of my desk, just inches away from my chest. I could feel a cold, stagnant air pressing against my face, and then a hand, a frozen, damp hand, gently brushed against the top of my hair. The entity did not harm me physically. It simply whispered that phrase directly into my mind, leaving me sitting in the dark until morning came. But it makes me wonder. Let us move to our final file for tonight, and into a much smaller space. A space where you are trapped with your own touch. Think about the last time you washed your face in the dark. Think about that exact moment of vulnerability when your eyes are closed tightly and you are reaching blindly for a towel. It makes you wonder what stands right behind you while your face is covered. Imagine you are standing in your own bathroom right now, late at night. Suddenly, without warning, the power dies. The room becomes pitch black. You stand frozen over the sink, with cold water dripping from your chin. In front of you is a massive mirror. You cannot see your reflection, but you feel an overwhelming, heavy sense of dread pressing down on your shoulders. Pluk, pluk. The water continues to drip into the drain. You reach out blindly with your right hand, searching for your towel next to the sink. Your fingers brush against the cold porcelain of the sink. But as you slide your hand further into the dark, your fingers do not hit fabric. They touch something else. Under your palm, you feel skin. It is soaking wet, ice cold, and deeply wrinkled, like the skin of someone who has been submerged in water for days. It is a hand, resting flat on the edge of the sink, right next to yours. You gasp and violently pull your hand back in terror. You stagger backward in the dark until your shoulder hits the locked bathroom door. You are trapped inside. In that suffocating silence, you hear a sound that makes your blood run cold. Shrak, shrak. It is the sound of something wet and heavy dragging itself up from the sink, pulling its body out of the mirror's frame and dropping heavily onto the tiled floor. The wet dragging sound begins moving across the floor, straight toward your feet. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes. You may now turn on the lights in your room and check your surroundings. Our 3 fictional nightmares have concluded, but tell me, which of these stories have you actually experienced tonight? Tell me in the comments below, because these stories might be fiction, but your imagination and your own experiences make them real. And the moment it happens to you, it is no longer a story. Thank you for listening to Real Blackout. Lock your doors, hit subscribe, and until next time, if you still dare to open your ears in the dark, good night.